All right, so if you've gotten this far, congratulations. Your pleats have been sewn. I have to do a second row of stitches. I just basted mine, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I'm going to show you that one mistake I made. So even with basting my hood, I still accidentally sewed my hood to my, like I have a pocket here on accident. I have two choices. I could stitch the top part here. So I would stitch above where this is to hold my pleats and then take that out. But I'm going to show you how I can finish it without doing that. So if that happens to you, don't panic. Don't take out your whole row of stitches. Just depending on how bad it is, I guess. This one isn't really that bad. And because I did my basting of my pleats low enough that it won't cause an issue. So, two things before I show you how to finish that part. I'm just going to talk about clasps real quick. So there are 3 types of clasps that you got one of these 3, and they go on the front portion here. They do not go on the hood. They go where we hemmed. Okay, so they'll sit right about here, and it goes one on each side. You do have to hand sew them to the outside, and you should hand sew them. I don't really want to open these because I haven't passed them out to you guys yet. But you'll see, so this one's easier to see. Okay, so on this one you'll notice that there are 2 holes right behind where this hook is, and 2 holes right before the eye or circle is. Those are the 2 holes you'll want to line up with sort of the edge, but not quite the edge of your fabric. And then there's another 2 holes in the back. See where that staple is? So what you're going to do is sew holes here. You can kind of figure out how far down you want it. Pretty close to the top. But you're going to sew the close holes here and then the far holes. So you'll do stitches back and forth. I would say 10 stitches for the back part, 10 stitches for the front part, 10 stitches to the front part, 10 stitches to the back part. You'll need to do, you could probably make each side one hole, you don't have to unthread it and knot it again for each hole. But like a button, when you sew on a button, you want to sew it many times through the same holes to reinforce it, trying to kind of go very near where you came in and out of the fabric. Okay, so there's those 2. It's important to make the fabric line up with the edge of the fabric line up with this where the hook is, because you want the hook to kind of hang in between the 2 pieces. And it's true for any of these clasps. So where the hook is, right there, so the circle eye part should hang off of the fabric, and that should be what you see. And then again, that part should hang off the fabric. If you have them too far onto the fabric and you try to close them, all this fabric gets bunched and is not beautiful. All right, this one is cloth. So it doesn't have holes like you would normally see them on, and you're going to want to use black thread if possible, or you're going to be very careful if you're using a different colored thread, because any colored thread you use will be highly visible on this, which would be fine as long as you're aware and maybe trying to keep your stitches either very small or keep them in consistent with the pattern that's already here. So for instance, if I wasn't using black thread that would basically be invisible, I would try to do maybe stripes out of the circle in kind of a pattern. Or what I would try to do is, because there are different rings of thread, I would try to do one stitch over the first one, then the second, every other has a stitch, every other has a stitch, every other has a stitch. You're also going to want to, on this one, put stitches very close to the front, and you'll see where that should hang off, right where that point is. So the point on both sides is where it should hang off and where you just need to put your finishing stitches, right on the edge here. Okay, if you have questions about your clasps, call me. Okay, so back to this. To finish this, because this is an open edge, what I'm going to do is zigzag it closed. I'm not going to use a very small zigzag. I'm going to use more of a medium zigzag. And I'm going to zigzag this time. I'm going to very slowly sew on the white side. Okay, so last time I sewed with the green up so I could see my pleats, but my pleats are pretty much where I want them. And I'm still going to go slow when I sew on the white. When I zigzag over this white edge, I'm still going to go very slow. I'm going to make sure that I'm catching all of the pleated fabric. Like if the pleated fabric, so see how it's kind of under my white here? I'll probably trim that so that I can have a little bit of pleat sticking out to see, to make sure that I'm, because what I can do later is, see right here, I have a lot of pleat sticking out. So as I zigzag this edge with the pleat sticking out, I'll just trim anything that sticks out past my zigzag at the end. I'll also remove both rows of basting stitches. So again, because I messed up here, I'm going to take it out and you'll never know, but you won't see it again. So I'm first going to make my machine stitch smaller and sew a line of stitches slightly above my basted stitch, right? Because this is not strong enough to hold forever, especially, and if I just take it out on accident, nothing will hold us to the zigzag stitches. Also not strong enough. So I'm going to adjust my stitches to smaller stitches, go over these pleats again, pleats up, so I can see them and make sure that they're where I want them. I'm going to be very careful not to sew over this section a third time, because then I would have to take it out. I am going to sew all the way across. Then once I have that second row of stitches with my pleats up, I'm going to sew with the white up, switch to a zigzag, trim all of my white so that I can see, just slightly, so I can see the pleats just sticking out to make sure I'm catching them. And I'm going to zigzag this edge to finish it on the inside. I will then remove my basted 2 rows of stitches. Okay, and then attach my clasp and I'll be done. I'm going to post pictures of that process. I'm not going to show you that process in the video because I just don't feel like I can do that part justice. Like my videography is not doing well. But if you have questions about this at home, please send me pictures of where you're stuck. We can FaceTime or Zoom. I now have a Zoom account that is allows me to see what you're seeing and to help you where you're stuck. Okay? Remember, again, if you've broken your ballpoint needle, I thought of this when I was doing the pleats, because I don't sew over your pins. If your needle goes slow, if your needle gets stuck and breaks off, you can switch back to the universal needle. What you just have to be careful of is for puckering. Okay? Another finishing touch is hem. If you find that this is way longer than you want it, just a reminder that you just have to measure how long you do want it, have someone help you. You put it on, and then have someone pin it to the correct length, or draw with a chalk pencil all the way around the bottom where you want it. Fold it under, sew it off, and then you'll be done. Again, if you have any questions, I am here to help, and I can't wait to see what these end up looking like for you guys. Okay?